The following is a Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to the Powercat Podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. It's the Powercat Podcast. And now, let's go to the Spirit Street Studios. Here's your host, GoPowercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to a Powercat Podcast, a special edition of the Powercat Podcast, may I add, because Zach Carlson isn't here. No MC Zach.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because it was recorded in record-breaking temperatures.
This is the first Powercat Podcast ever recorded when temperatures in the local vicinity were colder than both poles. I don't know if that's actually accurate. That's accurate for Kansas City. I don't think it's quite as cold here in Manhattan, Kansas, but a very bitterly cold day. A little bit of wind chill out there. I don't like winter. I'm Tim Fitzgerald. I'm a wuss. That's Riley Gates. He's also a winter wuss. I don't like it at all. I'm wearing layers right now, and I'm inside the office. It's cold. Speaking of cold, Zach left us for the week. He just got up and left. That's cold, man.
I think it's pretty sad that he's probably in warmer climates.
He went to New York City on a little scouting expedition for equipment for our studio. It's a long story. Don't encourage him to continue this type of behavior.
Basically because we haven't won the lottery yet.
Yeah, he wanted to go visit our company we use for a majority of our equipment, audio-visual equipment. That's based out of New York City. It's a big outfit. And he wanted to go have feet on the ground. And for some reason, in the middle of an Arctic blast, it's a perfect time, price-wise, to go to visit Manhattan, New York. So Zach's there. He's on his way back. Maybe with frostbite. I hope he can get back, seriously. If he's flying through Chicago or something, they might have it closed because it's supposed to be like below 50 below with wind chill. What?
They'll still fly in the cold.
Stuff stops working, man. Well, I guess when you're flying at altitude, it's 50 below. Okay, I'm an idiot about when it comes to jets and stuff, so just ignore that statement. But Zach isn't here, so this brings a challenge to the table. How do we do it without an MC? Do we have to MC this ourselves? And that's what we're going with. Riley will read the questions, maybe in like a Donald Duck voice or maybe a Southern gentleman.
I've been working on my Christopher Walken.
Oh, that'd be good.
It's not there yet.
Foghorn Leghorn? I'll say, boy, here's a question for you from I Like Pickles Cat.
Can we do that?
We actually played with trying to get a robot voice, and and we came up with one pretty quick one. Then we realized, dude, that's a lot of putting information into the robot voice and putting it into the show.
And it's not so because I have all the questions typed up. All we'd have to do is just copy and paste them into the voice thing. The problem is you record each individual one, and then you have to patch in the questions in the audio file.
So I could either actually physically put the question into the podcast in post-production or run the computer through the soundboard and then have to play each question, which in production-wise would be easier, but pre-production would be a pain in the ass because it'd have to be all ready, and I'd have to be smart enough to click them in an appropriate time. And we've already established I'm not an intelligent person. I came out of the house when it was 0 degrees. Anyhow, we're brought to you by the Fridge. And on a day like today, you might need a hot toddy. So stop by, walk into the Fridge at the corner of Westport. Oh, my God.
Claflin and Westport Drive.
I said Westport.
Well,
Westport and Claflin. Stop in there and just walk in the door and say, damn it, boys, I need a hot toddy.
I don't think they will. No, I don't think so.
Just go in and say it in that voice, and I apologize to the females that might be working there, and they'll give you the ingredients that they can give you for a hot toddy.
There you go.
They can't give you the hot chocolate yet. In the state of Kansas, we'll change this eventually, but they can give you look, you can have a hot drink, Sheldon Cooper style. That's a nerdy reference right there. But you need a hot toddy, and the toddy part is the booze. They've got the booze, the toddy, at the fridge. Get into the fridge, Manhattan's biggest and best liquor store. I'd say the state's biggest and best. Well, it may not be the biggest. There might be one out there that's bigger, but they're not going to be as professional and awesome as Kevin and the entire gang at the fridge. Our first segment sponsor is Tanner's. You're going to see me at Tanner's a lot more in the future. But I haven't been to Tanner's enough lately. I'm telling
you, man, when we moved, it's not that we don't like Tanner's. It's like on days like today, it's so cold. I just don't want to go.
Well, okay, so I was going to go to Tanner's for the AFC Championship.
That's a bad idea.
And then I realized it's going to be crowded, and I'm going to get there late, so I'll probably have to stand or, I can get some mac and cheese bites at the store and throw them in the oven.
Or you could probably... Yeah, you could probably just order carry out.
So I was at home. Plus, I had multiple problems here. The game was on a Sunday, and I had to choose between Tanner's, one sponsor, and the High-Low, the other sponsor. And friends run both bars. Friends were working the bar at both bars. I was conflicted, Riley. It was like two hot chicks wanted me for the first time in my life. They wanted to spend time with me, so I just I hung out with my wife. That metaphor went down the crapper.
Yeah, that's not good.
I'm hoping Becky's not listening. That really.
Okay, I think we're safe there.
She's got better things to do. Well, she would just listen. She wouldn't have to ask me all these damn questions. So what's going on right now in K-State Sports? Really? I do a podcast.
You run a business.
You're the associate publisher of this company. I mean, if the cancer gets me, babe, you're in charge. You're the boss. Come on.
So you're telling me she doesn't spend her entire day on Wabash?
No.
Imagine that. She has other responsibilities.
Meadowlark Hills keeps her a little bit busy. So here we go. Again, the Fridge and Tanner's, great people, great places. And here's your questions from Wabash Station. An MC throwback to Danger Cat.
Yeah, this is like when I first got here, right? And I didn't do a whole lot. But now I'm doing both. So here we go. First half, getting started off with Cornelio.
I say, Cornelio.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Okay.
We'll see if my Christopher Walken comes around in the second half. Cornelio, did any of you guys see Saturday's loss coming at all? I'm not necessarily surprised about the loss, but definitely surprised with the way it went down.
Okay. Honestly, I did say, would it shock you if they went to A&M and laid an egg and lost?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the history of this program, just kind of flying high and then crashing back. But I didn't actually believe they would do it, and here's why. I thought the senior leadership of this team would overcome that. My long-standing theory is that Bruce doesn't know how to mentally coach a team. Kind of put together the locker room. He can X and O's, for the most part. We're talking about the zone here in a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's a good functional coach. He says the right things. He knows what they're supposed to do, but he can't always get the buy-in. He can't get into the heads and sometimes the hearts of them. And he certainly, I think even when he has a meltdown, which he did apparently after the A&M game, it doesn't intimidate him. It just doesn't. And that's just kind of Bruce's nature. That's who he is. But I thought the senior leadership on this team would overcome the fact that Bruce doesn't always put together a great locker room, that they would have that on their own. Barry and Dean and Kamau would have the handle on the locker room and the leadership and take it seriously enough where they're not going to go to Texas A&M and sleepwalk, as Fran Fraschilla said 700 times.
Yeah.
But he was right.
Yeah.
They sleptwalked through that game and they lost.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot more to add than what you said because you summed up my thoughts right there. It struck me as a team that was going to be good, that was going to do things like lose in Lubbock, maybe lose twice to KU, things that you can deal with, things that you can accept that because you're not supposed to win that game, but you're supposed to beat 7-10 Texas A&M. Okay, I mean, if you want to parade that this is the most experienced team, that this team went to the Elite Eight, and everybody has a bad night, I get it. It's very tough to lose or to win on the road against anybody, but it shouldn't be tough to win on the road against a 7-10 team when all week people are flying the flag of, oh, they should be ranked in the top 15. Look what they've done and this and that.
This is why they weren't.
Yeah.
The capability of collapsing at any moment has been proven in this program, and that's why people around voters did not buy in.
And I hate to play so much into one game, but legitimately this game, I believe, is going to keep them from being a 5. I think a 5 seed is their ceiling. Unless they go off and win the Big 12.
And win it emphatically.
Right. But I think a 5 seed is their ceiling, and I don't think they're going to get to that mark because of this game. I think they'll be in the 7-9 range.
Well, this game coupled with Tulsa are indicators that there's a real weakness in this team, and they can't play against zone. They just got this Achilles heel that they can't solve, they can't overcome. It doesn't always work to play zone against K-State. Some days they'll just shoot it better. I mean, if they're hitting the threes, then they're going to kill you. But if they're not, which is more often than not, they're going to kill themselves. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But this is going to stick with them. They're now 0-3 in non-conference road games, true road games. Marquette's excusable. That's a good basketball team. Tulsa.
Yeah. And they shot the cover off the ball.
Yeah. Tulsa plays zone once a year, I'm told. And they've done that for 2 years in a row. And guess what happened? They beat Kansas State. Texas A&M, thanks for the sound effects. Texas A&M did it now, and it worked. I don't care if you don't regularly play zone. Why wouldn't you?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Adam K63. After Saturday's basketball game, does it look like this team plays up or down to its competition?
I've always kind of thought that with Bruce teams. I just don't think they're mentally strong enough to play up to their capabilities on a regular basis. And it's tough to do that. It's tough for any team to do that. And it's happening all over the conference. You just saw a really good Texas Tech team go through a 3-game losing streak and then right itself in the SEC Challenge and then win, what was it, last night, 2 nights ago? I don't even know. It's all
Monday?
a blur. Is it Wednesday?
I think. We had a long day yesterday.
We missed Zach.
Zach
would always tell us what day of the week it was.
We had a long day yesterday.
Yeah, we did. Teams are all up and down, but K-State, like we said, it's just a roller coaster ride, and it's been a little bit more enjoyable. But, man, that was a screaming halt at the end of a nice run there. That jerk when the roller coaster comes to a stop. Maybe it'll start again and be fun, and the climb will begin, and off they'll go with their ups and downs, but it'll be enjoyable.
Because I don't think it's playing up to the level of their competition when they beat a good team. I think it's playing up to that, and I think it's playing up to the level of the game. You know what those games mean.
Let's be clear. I think this K-State team's capable of being very good.
Yeah,
very good. That what they did to Tech was a really good basketball team. Defensively, offensively, that was a good basketball team. And the fact that they can't identify what they need to do on a nightly basis to accomplish the things that they need to accomplish would indicate it's an immature basketball team. But, Riley, it's not an immature basketball team. And that's why it's just so frustrating and baffling.
Let's get into the zone. I Like Pickles Cat asks, which is a worse look for Bruce Weber? That we weren't prepared for the zone or that we worked on it and still couldn't beat it?
Worked on it.
And to that, I'd say both.
Yeah, look, it didn't catch him off guard. He expected it. He admitted that. They practiced against it all day Thursday in practice. And then they came out and they did nothing. And he couldn't – the problem is then he couldn't get them to do anything. That wasn't even a good zone.
No, that's the thing. It was not a Baylor zone, a Syracuse zone.
That was, hey, guys, stand in these spots and defend the nearest guy. Here's where you rotate. That was basic, simple high school zone. Run with better athletes. And what K-State do? They stood around the outside and shot over the top of it like a bunch of damn cowards. You got to get inside a zone. Whether you're going to create a shot off the bounce, off a pass, or pass it back out for an open three-pointer and a more natural process of catching the ball facing the basket, which helps the shooter instead of passing around the outside and having to square back up. They shot more three-pointers than two-pointers in this game. Now, one of the national experts, and it's escaping me who said it, said that K-State's in trouble when they shoot more three-pointers than free throws. That's true. That's very true, because they're not getting the basket. They're not creating fouls. They're not kind of muddying up the game offensively is what they actually need to do. But when you shoot more three-pointers than two-pointers, man, you're the captain of the Titanic. And you're not telling anyone the iceberg's dead ahead because you know it's coming. If you're not hitting those three-pointers, and this team is capable on occasion of hopping up there and hitting 40% of the three-pointers, but they're also capable of hitting 20% of your three-pointers. And it was awful to watch because the things they weren't doing were so damn basic to basketball, coaching, and playing. It's unbelievably maddening to watch.
I think it's pretty sad that when you watch a K-State loss, you don't even have to look that much further past the box score. I mean, you can see what beats this team. And I'm pulling up my Twitter right here, and I had a tweet very early into the game, very early. Said K-State is already 0-5 from the outside. You can't let this turn into another Tulsa. Referencing the fact that they are, I believe, off the top of my head, 9 of 51 from the outside against Tulsa in 2 seasons combined. That was when they were 0-5. They finished 7 of 31 from the three-point land.
They took 61 field goals in the game.
Doesn't basketball logic, common sense logic, with anything, not even sports, when you're not doing something well, wouldn't you stop doing that thing? I guess that's just what doesn't make sense to me. Is I feel like they don't shoot a lot of threes when they're getting those mid-range, those two-pointers, the layups to fall. And then they go to look for the outside when they can't get an inside look quick. Oh, the threes aren't falling? Better keep shooting them. Eventually, they're bound to fall. And that's what's just going to lose you games. I think that's when this team's season comes to an end, whether it's the first round, the second round, the Elite Eight, whatever it is, it's going to be because they get zoned and they shoot 43 pointers in one game. Mountain Joe, I feel like beating the zone defense in basketball isn't that hard. Why is it for us? Execution by the players, instruction from the coach. Where do you see it go wrong?
I'm not in practice. I'm sure they're performing this just fine in practice against the walk-ons. But the arms get longer, the athletes get better, even if they're not really trained in the zone. That entry pass into the high post gets a little bit more challenging. But other teams overcome this. Other teams beat zones. Other teams shred zones. And I've watched K-State do it. I've watched Baylor had to get out of their zone against K-State in Waco a couple years in a row because they freaking shred it. How do they shred it? Yeah, they hit three-pointers, but they don't hit three-pointers by just passing the ball around the outside. They're hitting that high post. They're hitting that space along the baseline, that's down towards the post. They're breaking down the defense. They collapse it and create better looks for teammates, whether it's driving to the basket because people are moving around in the zone or standing alone on the outside, passing across the zone. They have done a number of times what they need to do against the zone, and then they don't do it. They don't look interested in doing it. It's like, we can shoot three-pointers and win this game. We're behind by 6. That's 2 possessions if we hit three-pointers and 3 possessions if we don't. And then it's 12 because they've missed shots. I don't know. It's everyone. You can blame the coach because he's not getting it. There's players to do it. You can blame the players because the coaches are telling them what to do and they're not doing it. You can blame everyone. I'm going to blame a manager because he didn't do the right thing in practice. I don't know. It's unbelievable. It's hard to grasp that a coach of the magnitude of Bruce Weber cannot get his team to beat a zone. And I think it's time to talk about, do you have anyone on this staff that is an accomplished offensive coach? Because offensively, the program sucks. To get it done, the players have to play extremely well. And there's very little designed for them to have success. Once in a while, they'll call a play that's designed and get a dunk or something. Most of the time, it's guys, go make this happen. Got to pass fast, got to cut fast, got to go to the basket, da-da-da-da-da. It's almost like an NBA offense. You got to go create your own thing, but they're not NBA players.
And I mean, to their credit, they do things like that because they thrive off of, well, we're going to get a stop and we're going to hit it in the fast break. And that's fine when it's working. That's fine against a team like Texas Tech that you can hold them to 45 points in a game and you're going to get your opportunities. But you're not going to get that every night. You can't bank on teams falling victim to your defense. It's never going to be at its full strength. I mean, you would expected it to be, it was at its full strength against Texas Tech. Well, you would have expected it to be there against Texas A&M. But did that happen? No. So the fact that they rely on it so much and not have a safety net, so to speak, with the offense is really frustrating. Purple Powerhouse. Our weakness against zone defenses is baffling. If I were every other team in the Big 12, I'd zone the crap out of K-State until they prove that they can finally beat it. Agree or disagree?
Agree. And I don't have anything more to add. Agree.
The only teams that can get away with it are Texas Tech and Kansas because they both run pretty good man-to-man defense.
But Kansas zoned K-State for a while last year.
Right. And I would even tell those teams, look, I know this is what you do. Chris Beard, I know you have the number one defensive efficiency team in the country, or did. I don't know if they still do. But go zone. You will beat them.
You will improve your defensive numbers.
If you have a good man, you should have even a decent zone. And you're going to run it against a team that can't stop a zone. Right. So that's all I would tell them. Wrestling 1982.
Wow. Is that new?
Is it rate? No, it's not new. Maybe I've said it different than Zach because I think I said it different. Wrestling?
Oh, okay.
Whatever. Are Austin Trice's defensive liabilities really any worse than Levi Stockard's?
I have no idea. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here with Levi Stockard.
I get it.
I see him do some fundamentally good things. Rotations are okay. I just feel like Austin Trice plays a lot harder.
Yeah. I think Austin Trice is a knucklehead. But
I agree. But, I mean, Levi Stockard ain't out there building rocket ships. I mean, he looks so mechanical, just so passionless on the court. Maybe that the demeanor bugs me more than the skill set, but the skill set isn't awesome. I just like what Austin Trice brings to the floor in terms of energy. And even, I'm not talking about a 20-minute player. I'm just talking about 5, 6 minutes a game. Put him in there when the team's dragging. The guy's going to go get you a board. He won't be able to do anything with it. And I get back. I said this last week or the week before. This dude hasn't changed since you recruited him. This is what you saw. And you thought he was going to change everything. Now, maybe you're right, Riley. It's about practice, and this team is better rebounding, so maybe Austin Trice has made them better rebounders in practice. But that's because he's a good rebounder. Just play him a little bit. It's almost like they see him do one thing wrong and they pull him out, but a guy like Levi Stockard can screw up over and over and keep playing because I don't know.
I don't have an answer with Levi Stockard, and it's when he's bad, he's really bad. I mean, you notice right away that he's causing issues. When he's okay, yeah, you're like, oh, well, he's not really doing that much, but I guess he's not hurting. But I've never had a game where I've looked at him and I've said, oh, look at what Levi's doing out there. Look at that. And people will point to, oh, he had a plus-minus of 18. It's like, I hate the plus-minus stat. It's a cheap way to tell people that they could have been worse. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
Stats aren't everything. I get it. But also, you got to start doing something. He's a liability on offense, and on defense, I would probably argue that he's always going to be the 4th or 5th best player on the floor.
I want to call myself out. So when Dean Wade was coming back or on the verge of coming back, I suggested that they keep running the small offense and use Dean in the 5 on occasion with Xavier at the 4. They did that, I think, against Tech for a little bit. And Dean could not guard the 5 at all. So, okay, knuckle-headed idea. They got out of it, and Levi had his moments. But Love had his moments. He played a lot of critical moments in games and had time that – is he good? No. Again, that's who you recruited. He didn't fall out of the sky and end up in a purple uniform. But I just don't – James Love brought some things to the floor. And was it the West Virginia game when they came roaring back?
Yeah.
And he was on the floor almost that entire rally?
He was, or a good part of it at least.
And then we haven't seen him.
But that's what a guy like him needs is time. I think he's a decent player. I don't think he's good, but I think he's a decent player that can do some things. You're going to at 6'11", but you got to have time, and I think that's what Bruce Weber continuously cites with him. He just hasn't been on the floor. Well, get him on the damn floor. Get him that time.
Look, my biggest problem with him is he's 6'11", but he doesn't play it. He hunches over. Dude, it's like he's spent his life bending over because he's too tall, and now he can't be tall. You're on the basketball court. Quit running up and down the court like you're someone's grandmother trying to make it to the bathroom on time, because that's exactly what he looks like.
Cliff Glavin 754. At this point in the season and in the veteran careers of the vast majority of these players, should Bruce Weber still have to be preaching, quote, effort and energy to his team? No, absolutely not.
No, it should be ingrained. It should be part of the culture. That's it. I mean, the culture never quite gets established, but and I don't want to keep rewinding the clock, but it seems it's important to say, yeah, he won a Big 12 title because someone else's culture was in place. He won a Big 10 title after Bill Self because Bill Self's culture was in place still with the players. There's no consistency culture here, an expectation of performance here. They just kind of go night in and night out. You don't know what you're going to get. I would not bet on this team, ever. Because I literally can't tell you what they're going to do. I think they're going to lose, and they're good enough where they can go on the road and be a 6-point dog and play like crap and lose by 5. So you were right, but you were wrong. I would never touch this team. This team is so unpredictable, and it shouldn't be this bad with senior leadership.
Exactly, and I think
and junior leadership.
Now I think Bruce is a really good coach. I think he does a good job of getting guys to buy into his system. But at times I think that people they lack the accountability in the program, and I don't know if that's a player's problem or if that's a Bruce problem. I don't know if he doesn't instill that in them or he tries to and they just don't listen at times. I don't know, but it kind of feels like it feels like to me after a loss like that, you should be pissed off. You should be madder than hell that you just lost to 7-10 Texas A&M when you're supposedly the people that you're just going to knock off Kansas this year. That should make you mad. It should fire you up. And I guarantee you tomorrow when we go to media and we ask them about the loss, the response will be, it sucks, but it's one game. We're recovered from it. Can't get hung up on it. It's the generic coach speak excuses, and I just want to see a Jacob Pullen I will not play in the NIT moment.
Look, Bruce Weber, and we all know this, whether you love Bruce or you're one of those people out there that honestly I think unfairly dislikes the guy. He's a really likable guy, and I get the problems that some of you might have with him. But he makes excuses too often. He does it as a reflex, as a habit. But if there's ever a time when you don't go into the post-game interview room and make any form of excuse upon which your team can lean, it's after a game like that. You go in there and own it. You blame yourself. You blame your players. It wasn't because the Challenge Series fell at a bad time. Wasn't because you had to travel. Wasn't because of the weather. Wasn't because of lunar alignments. Wasn't because you picked the wrong uniform colors. It wasn't because the balls were a little bit different than home. Wasn't because the crowd was empty. It wasn't because whatever the hell excuse you want to come up with. He's got to resist that habit. It's almost like things didn't go well. I got to have a cigarette. Stop it. It's a bad habit. Stop it because your team hears it. Your fans hear it. Oh, it wasn't their fault they lost. It was because whatever. The tides were out of whack. The astrology charts weren't quite what they thought they should be. It's always something to lean on other than the fact that we failed ourselves as coaches and players. Some of you get mad because he throws his players under the bus. If a player screws up, I'm fine with that.
He's a big boy.
Exactly. These aren't children. If someone isn't doing what they need to do, okay, do it. I expect better leadership out of my 3 seniors than to have this happen in a road game that has some meaning because we need this win and we need to keep our momentum going. That's not throwing your team under the bus. That's freaking reality. But, I don't know. I wasn't in the post game, but I've been in enough post games with him to know that always just kind of slides in there. I don't like where this falls in the schedule. So you can't control that. Worry about what you can control, and that's your team.
Last question of the first half from Herdez Joe. Now that KU has lost, is this a position where you thought K-State would be?
Well, there was no predicting that KU would be this bad.
No. And don't tell me that you thought they would.
I thought they might have some issues because it seemed like the most mismatched ingredients in the KU stew I had seen in a while.
And we also didn't peg Udoka Azubuike out for the year.
And that's what's changed them so much is because with the other big man, Silvio. I just can't.
Silvio De Sousa.
Jesus.
I'm telling you, he's going to be back on the floor before they come into Bramlage.
Why not? Why not play him and just forfeit everything? If you're going to go 9-9 in the conference.
No, he's suspended by the NCAA.
I know.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't put him on the floor.
I wouldn't put anything past KU.
I'm telling you, I think he's going to be cleared.
The day before they come in here?
Or the day of. 9 a.m. news drop. Silvio De Sousa is cleared for action. Can't let Kansas State knock off the streak.
Yeah, they're not very good. So there was no way to know that. There was no way to predict that these freshmen, who are really good, wouldn't be particularly good. And they haven't been, or consistent. Their best one is the local kid that they basically...
Ochai.
They basically weren't recruiting him until they saw everyone else was recruiting him and went and looked at him and went, oh, he's really good. Oh, he's always wanted to go to KU. Boom, they had him.
I love that kid.
He's really
so good. He's so good. No, I didn't think K-State would be here. I thought K-State was going to be right in the ballpark. I thought they might be a game out at times, maybe 2 games out at times. Look, I didn't think they were going to be 5-2 through the first 7. I thought they were going to be like a 4-3 maybe. I didn't think they'd win 2 road games or beat Texas Tech. I
think 4-3 is legitimate. I didn't think they would lose to Texas or win at Iowa State.
Right.
So that evens out.
It washes.
And they're 2-1 on the road in the Big 12.
Which is huge.
Which is huge. And they've got 4 out of 6, if I'm correct, on the road. And one of the home games is KU.
And one of the road games is an Oklahoma State team with 7 scholarship players.
So you got to go take care of business. You got to get out on the road and take care of business. Got a great story about that by D. Scott Fritchen up on our site right now for our subscribers to GoPowercat'com, which gets us to an important topic. The podcast is free content. You can listen to this, any fan, and we hope you are. You don't have to be a subscriber to Go PowerCat to enjoy some incredible coverage on our site. We've got a lot of free content. The concept at 24/7 Sports is much different than the concept at Rivals.com, our former network that we left a couple years ago. And that's part of the reason why we moved. I would say 95% of our content at Rivals was VIP. Well, we're doing a lot more content at 24/7. They've given us better resources to do stuff. We're better equipped to do things. And so I would imagine our story count's up 50%, wouldn't you think?
Oh, if not more.
And most of what we've upped is free content. Really cool free content, compelling free content. It's not clickbait. It's really interesting stuff that we're doing that is available. If you're not a subscriber, you can come to Go PowerCat every day and enjoy that content. But right now, we're having a great promotion. It's 6 months for the price of one. Basically, you sign up for 1 month of Go PowerCat, we're going to give you 5 months for free. I'll get you into the summer. It's going to get you through this signing period that's about ready to open up, and through the rest of basketball, into spring football, and even into those spring recruiting periods for both football and basketball. Really crucial times for K-State. It's a fun time. Chris Kleiman, we got football next. Surprisingly, not a ton of questions in the second half. But Chris Kleiman's staff is out grinding on the recruiting trail in a way we haven't seen. How have things changed for us in terms of what we can cover? We're going to be at Pro Day for the first time ever covering Kansas State football. We know when it is, and we're going to be there. Another media will be there. But we do things a little bit differently than everyone else. The news is free. So-and-so committed. K-State won this basketball game, but the analysis of why is behind the paywall. That's for our fans. This podcast gives you some of that analysis, gives you a look into the type of thoughts and content we have behind the paywalls, what we call it in the industry. It's subscription. That's why. There's a value in being behind the paywall. And on top of that, we got a really cool community of people who are rational, polite, mix it up and talk about K-State sports without bullying and harassing people that they don't agree with. We don't put up with that crap anymore. We're all K-Staters. That doesn't belong on a message board, and I don't get it. I don't get why people want to do it. And if that's what you want to do, don't sign up. We're the wrong place for you, man. 6 months for the price of one. It ends, listen to me, Thursday night. It's coming up. It's almost over. 6 for one. $10 for 6 months of a trial drive so you can see this is different. This isn't the same stuff I can read on the internet or in a tweet. All that stuff that's simple and basic, you can read for free at Go PowerCat. Come over and do that. If that's all you want, just come over and read that stuff. You'll enjoy that experience, sure, but if you're behind the paywall and you see everything else, I think you're going to love it. GoPowerCat.com, 6 months for the price of one for a very limited time right now. Get it done. And we thank the Fridge and Tanners for sponsoring the first half of the Powercat Podcast.
The Powercat Podcast continues shortly.
I'm trying to get a group text in on what everybody wants on the liquor store run, but my phone keeps autocorrecting liquor store to the fridge.
A fridge or the fridge?
The fridge. It just did it again.
Well, the fridge is more than just a liquor store. The fridge has over 3,000 wines in stock, the area's largest selection of spirits and craft beers. Plus, they're back-to-back winners of Beverage Dynamics Retailer of the Year.
Oh, I get it. Wow. Smartphone.
Autocorrect your next liquor store visit to the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, 1150 Westport in Manhattan. Online at fridgeliquor.com.
For more than 20 years, there's only been one reliable source for exclusive and unmatched premium K-State sports news content. It's GoPowercat.com. The tradition continues as Tim Fitzgerald, D. Scott Fritchen, and the other Go PowerCat sports experts continue their relentless coverage of K-State sports. So make sure you're subscribing to the one and only Go PowerCat. Hey, K-State fans, it's time to come home to GoPowercat.com. We now return to the Powercat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast. We just had a traumatic event. I don't really want to talk about it.
I'm sorry.
Riley Gates dropped the microphone with her headsets on. And
On accident.
I think the world's
Intentionally do it.
loud noises. Look, we're sponsored by the Fridge. We love the Fridge. Man, I love the Fridge.
I gotta get in the fridge.
I don't even drink that much anymore.
I've been
and I
trying
still
to-
love the Fridge. I like going in there. It's like a really cool store. It's an adult Toys R Us.
Yeah, I actually
That's
had
a bad comparison because they went out of business.
go to the fridge and it'll be like Toys R Us. No,
Do you have a giant stuffed giraffe filled with Crown Royal?
I actually need to get in there pretty soon. I've been trying to not do tons of drinking because I'm trying to be an adult now, Transitioning out of college when you live in a college town with college kids is a little tough.
It took me 20 years.
But, and also, and Marcus Watts, he hooked me up with a little extra deal one day.
Yep.
So, but I got to say, I'm needing to get into the fridge and replenish my supply.
The second half of the podcast at this time of year is typically football. And we'll be honest here, you didn't bring a lot of football wood.
But that's fine.
Here, that's fine. So we're going to be a little short, which is good because Marcus, sit down for this. Marcus has requested to be on the podcast to handle football questions because he, too, is fired up about the Chris Kleiman era of Kansas State football. So when his schedule aligns with our schedule, Marcus Watts will be back in his corner recliner. Yeah, I got recliner right here.
Which means Zach's losing his seat.
Zach will be mad.
Zach won't be here.
And then Marcus will leave the legs out and stand up and leave.
Leave his coffee cup here.
And Zach will have to sit down and complain about that. It's like a family around
Guys,
here.
it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle.
It's like a family. Anyhow, usually we have football parked here. We're going to have football, but it's not as long as what we thought. We also usually have a read from our sponsor, Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill. And if you haven't heard, unfortunately, Wahoo has closed its doors down in Aggieville. Man, I'm telling you what, I admire entrepreneurs so freaking much. And I'm one. Because I know the risk and the uncomfort or the discomfort of doing it. I know that there's days and weeks when you wonder, am I going to be able to pay my employees? Am I going to pay the bills? The cash flow sucks. Small businesses don't survive. To make it 10 years, you've really beaten the odds. Hell, to make it 5 years, you've beaten the odds. And that's what Wahoo did. They started in 2012, and they were in year 6 or 7. And it was great food, had a pretty steady clientele, but just a lot of factors were working against them. And maybe location, maybe the fact that Aggieville isn't as popular as it used to be with students or adults. And I don't know what else, but they just couldn't get the cash flow right, and they have shut their doors, unfortunately. Great people. We love them to death. All of the people that worked there were wonderful, and I'm even talking about the kitchen guys that you don't normally get to see, that you don't want to normally see. Being a regular and being friends with the owners and the bar manager, I got to spend time with all those guys, and they're just wonderful people. So our hearts go out to them. Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill is no more, and we wanted to handle that. We had a question for the overtime, but they're normally this sponsor. So hopefully we'll hear more from those folks, Austin and Megan and Darren, the chef, and of course Mark, our friend, the bar manager. Great bartender. We'll know where they end up. So thank you, Wahoo, for being a sponsor for many years, and thank you for great times and wonderful friendship. Peace, and I hope financially taking the risk to be an entrepreneur doesn't weigh you down for years to come. It's an unfortunate reality that you take the risk to be a job creator, and quite often you end up bearing the brunt of the failure, and it's just really tough. And I get it. I had to shut down a magazine, and we're still trying to pay off that bill from, letting it live on too long. Sometimes you got to take the old dog out and put it down.
Got old yeller that thing.
Yeah, but here we go. That's a bummer note right there. That sucked.
Sorry.
That sucked.
Sorry.
Here we go. Football questions from Wabash Station. Here's Danger Cat.
Yep, it's like Fitz said, it's a little brief, and that's just kind of what it is right now. But
I say.
Wow. With that being said, we actually are going to, and we don't usually dive into recruiting on the podcast, and this isn't necessarily recruiting per se, but yeah, this is more kind of general recruiting questions.
This would be stuff that we'd normally put behind the paywall.
Yeah, think about that.
It's not stuff we'd put behind the paywall. It's kind of stuff we would discuss anyhow.
All right. Wildcat Wabash gets us off as K-State picked up 2 commitments on Monday morning. Wildcat Wabash asks, between Joshua Youngblood and Price, what commitment got you more excited?
Price. Oh, they have such a need at running back. And he's kind of a different running back. He's kind of a physical guy. Runs over people. He could be a guy that plays as a true freshman. Someone's going to have to play as a true freshman if they don't get another experienced running back in the house. So we'll see. I liked it an awful lot. I like what the staff's doing. They're getting out and finding the best that they possibly can. in this late period, and it's just tough. The recruiting game's changed so much and made it so difficult on new staffs because you got the early signing period where most of the best talent signs, and I'm not going to say scraps, but guys that fell between the cracks, maybe weren't identified, maybe didn't do the camp series, didn't pop out, didn't jump off film, maybe were injured. But then you get out and meet them, and you see them a little bit, and then you see some senior video that finally comes around, and then you go, yeah, this dude can play. So you really got to scramble. Makes it really tough on new staffs. You can't rely on February, and you got to tie that initial fall early signing period class together as quick as possible. I thought Kleiman did a marvelous job with that, and then turn around and find some guys. These are guys I like them.
I'll argue. I'll say Youngblood got me a little bit more excited, and I'll kind of go against what you said with the depth around it. Yeah, obviously it needs some depth added to it, but I think maybe we're not quite giving enough credit to a guy like Harry Trotter, who I think probably can play the position, and then obviously we just haven't seen him play at that spot yet, so maybe we got to take that into account. But the reason Youngblood excites me is because I just kind of look at guys on the roster right now that we know of, that we know their capability. And you look at a guy this past season like Isaiah Zuber. K-State lists him at 6 foot tall and 183 pounds. Youngblood is 5'11", 170 pounds. You look at Hunter Rison, he's 5'11", 205. And then you just heard me say Youngblood's height and weight. I think once he gets into the system, he puts on a little bit of weight, because everybody obviously does that in college. He puts on the good weight, not the weight that you and I put on. Okay. But I think he has the potential. I think he's a really, really fast kid that I think if he, like I said, adds that size, I think he could end up being something pretty strong in terms of a wide receiver option. He runs a 4.45 40. I mean, no, it's not blazing speed as compared to one of the fastest in the country, but 4.45 is really good. So I really liked that pickup, and I thought it was a nice addition at wide receiver.
Just like his name.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, they're both good pickups. I like them. I think it's fun watching this coaching staff get out and recruit. And like I've said before, I don't understand Chris Kleiman, how he can be with one coach on one coast and then with another coach in another part of the country, and then with another coach somewhere else, and then on vacation in Tahiti, all on the same day. You know why? Harry Trotter. Teleporting him everywhere.
It's not a Harry Potter.
There was an interesting discussion about Harry Trotter on the boards. He was a walk-on at Louisville, and he played a nominal amount. And, you get a transfer from Louisville, you think, oh, the guy can play. He was a walk-on. Let's keep that in mind. But I don't think people quite understand that by design, this North Dakota State offense that Courtney Messingham is kind of built upon and designed and is really comfortable calling plays in, uses 3 or 4 dudes back there. They really shuffle running backs quite a bit. And they kind of play to the hot hand. It almost, watching the couple games I did, reminded me of the Lawrence Hickson Charles trio back in the day of running backs, when they kind of shuffled that deck a little bit. And Charles didn't get a lot of rushes, but when they called upon him, he was good. And I think they're going to have things designed they're going to do a better job at designing things for personnel. Does it make you a little bit predictable? Yeah, but K-State was predictable without being predictable by personnel in the past. So, what's it matter? If you do it well, you can do it. And I think Trotter will have a role in this offense as a running back that might play 5 snaps, 10 snaps. If people get injured, 20 snaps. But he'll have a role. And if he's a guy that does all the little things right, I think, like with Snyder, he's going to thrive under Chris Kleiman.
Wildcat Wabash goes again. How surprised are you with the little that Chris Kleiman has been hitting the junior college ranks? Do you see a trend moving forward?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And this was something our new staff analyst, Ross Uglum, brought to the table immediately to us, that K-State has a history of junior college guys, and they're going to need to do it some. Brian Anderson, the new running back coach, has a history of getting into junior colleges. I think we'll see them build better bridges to the Kansas JUCOs than maybe what we've had in the recent years, amazingly enough. There was a sense that K-State took from the JUCOs and didn't give. They never put players in, and I get it. I understand that sentiment very well. So I don't think you're going to see him do 6 in a class, but you might see him do 2 or 3 in a class. I don't think you'll ever see him go heavy unless they're in big trouble, and then they're in big trouble.
And I think right now is about as big a trouble as they could be in.
The fact that they haven't hit on a junior college running back is very intriguing to me. It would seem like in addition to your transfer, you would need your senior grad transfer from Ball State, who is
James Gilbert.
Golly, what's wrong with me in names lately?
Well, it's just new faces. Got a lot going on. Not football season.
I'm going down the crapper. Right?
It's not as bad as when I said the wrong last name on the radio one morning.
Oh, that's cool.
It's 8 a.m.
Yes.
Come on, Ross Volkmer.
Yeah. So, they must feel comfortable with what they have. I thought they'd get a junior college running back. I thought they might go get a junior college, another D-back or linebacker or, someone that they thought, hey, it's a plug and play. But, again, we might see this staff be more comfortable putting two true freshmen on the field, which I know can really come back around and bite you on the butt in year 5. But anymore with grad transfers, you don't get year 5 a lot of times. So that grad transfer rule kind of changes my thinking on that. If you got a freshman that's really good, go ahead and play him, because if he doesn't like his time after the end of a redshirt season and 3 seasons on the field, he's going to grad transfer on you and go somewhere else.
Purple Powerhouse. Where were the reports coming from indicating that Gavin Potter dropped in at KU after his visit to Manhattan?
I believe one of the KU rival site.
Yes, that's where. I mean, we couldn't read the post because we're not members of JayhawkSlant.com.
Surprising.
Shay. No. But that's what some KU person linked to, was that's where it came from. And then another media outlet did end up confirming that report. So, and that was out there.
I mean, Radek got a hold of the young man and asked him, and he flat out denied it. He said, no, I wasn't there. And we've talked to other people who said, we don't think he was there. We just don't think he was. By the schedule he laid out, I don't see any way he was there. So Riley just reported what the young man said. Could he have lied? Yeah, he could have, but everyone who's dealt with him in recruiting says this kid's been straightforward. I mean, he was committed to K-State. He backed off that. Well, he didn't really back off the commitment. He backed off signing in the early period, which tells me he's backing off his commitment. But anyhow, he backed off the signing, and he opened up his recruitment to Les Miles. He's from kind of a KU family. But he's been really honest about that with the staff, apparently. And everyone says, I don't see, why would he lie about it? If it was out there, he would just confirm it. So I don't know. I mean, we're not calling anyone out here. We're just saying this is what the young man said. That's what we put in our story.
And that's you can argue. Kids will say whatever they want to say. Fine. We're still accurate with that. I mean, the kid said what he said. Right. If he's going to deny it, he could have told me what he said when I asked him about his commitment status. I don't want to answer that at this time. He could have said that. He adamantly denied he did not go to KU. And so, like Fitz said, that's just all that we reported was what he said.
If he's telling you what you want to hear, he says, yeah, I'm committed to K-State.
Yeah.
But he said, I don't want to talk about it.
So, I mean, you can go about saying the kid's lying, but that's not the route we're going to take. That's not the route I want to play.
It seems like a good route to call a recruit a liar.
Especially one that might sign with K-State. You don't know.
Don't know. Didn't Oklahoma State just offer him?
They did just offer him. And he's an Oklahoma kid.
Yeah, it's been good talking to you.
See you later. Cheeseburger Satan.
He's okay, folks. Look, last week we had an out of bounds
question.
That's for my show, The Drive.
Overtime
question from Cat Grad
05.
And I called him Satan for questioning our love of Whataburger. He DM'd me and said, I want a new screen name, and we chose Cheeseburger Satan.
It's very good.
This is what you get. If you question my love of Whataburger, I call you Cheeseburger Satan. He chose it. He's fine. He's fine with it. Again, if you don't like your screen name, there's still some anonymous screen names tripping around the website, because you got to sign that when they merge 24/7 and Scouts, because you can't have duplicate names anywhere on the network. Just direct message us up on the site. It's up in the corner under your little face or whatever your icon is. Just pull that down, send us a message out of your inbox, and There you go. We'll get you changed. It's really easy for us to do. But
So Cheeseburger Satan asks.
I love it. I love that name.
He asks, I love the direction of this staff and recruiting, especially in the Kansas City area. Where do you see the recruiting trend in the next 3 to 5 years? Any areas of hidden talent that they will hit hard that K-State has not seen in the past? I think we're seeing one right now with Mike Tuiasosopo's added.
You got it down.
I know. Look at me go.
Wow.
I did take a little bit to get it. I had to practice feet.
Yes.
But going out into that California, Hawaii, the West Coast range, where you're battling with kids with Utah, UCLA, Washington State, a lot more than you have in the past, and that's really different. And this has only been a month of this new staff. Haven't been able to fully hit the recruiting trail in that area, and I think we've seen them not only go after kids right away, but hell, yesterday they were doing it. So
let's break this down a little bit, and we had a staff retreat when we went up to Kansas City on Friday and sat down with Ryan Wallace, and he brought up a really good point about this coaching staff. That step one, keep together the fall class as best you can, and they did that for the most part, and they built upon it. I think they improved the class in the short time that they were on board, and I find that amazing. So did that. Got to follow it up with filling enough holes in the spring to get everything that you need in your recruiting class. I feel like they're on course to do that. I think they're still going to go get another high school running back and, just some more dudes. I think they're going to get that done. This is a remarkable year in the state of Kansas, 2020, that is, for next year, and the Kansas City Metro. I always count that kind of one and the same. Look, if a kid's from St. Louis, that's different. If he's from, down south, from Springfield, that's different. But if you're kind of in that highway system of Kansas City and, you get on the road and next thing you're at the K, you're a Kansas City, Kansas kid in my recruiting notebook. It's a great year. It is a rare year that you can build the entire foundation of a really good recruiting class off of staying at home. You don't get that in the state of Kansas, and it looks like they're laying a foundation to accomplish that. They seem to be winning a lot of these battles on these 2020 kids, at least early on. It is early. Some of these kids are going to blow up. They're going to have Michigan. They're going to have, Clemson. They're going to have Oklahoma come roaring in on them. And those are the kids that Snyder's staff almost always lost. And we'll see if they can pin that together and hold it together and get a good group of, I don't know, I wish I had Wally here, 8 kids from 10 kids, because they're out there this next year. They're out there. Then you've got incredible momentum behind your recruiting effort. And you complement that in with the very vast reach of this staff. They're going to be recruiting different areas. A lot of upper Midwest that Kansas State hasn't been in. Since Ben Lieber, from South Dakota, that's not really been an area, but he's a good example of a guy that really was under the radar and played in the NFL for a long, long time. And North Dakota State has gotten those guys too. So they're going to get Minnesota, Indiana, Chicagoland, all those areas that K-State really hasn't had a huge presence in, while still hitting Georgia with Brian Anderson, getting out in the West a little bit more. We're going to see Colin Klein back in Colorado a little bit. They're going to be all over adjoining states. Nebraska is going to be a main area for them. Omaha. They're going to really compete with the Huskers in Iowa and some of those kids.
I'm really interested to see that.
They're going to get back down to Oklahoma and, of course, Texas. And like Riley just said, Tuiasosopo brings them a whole other element of not particularly a region. It is, but more the Samoan Polynesian community, whether those kids are in California or the islands or somewhere else. That's kind of a tight community that you got to have a guy to bring them in, and now K-State has one of those. It's going to be very interesting. But the fact that K-State has the opportunity to recruit their first full recruiting session, not picking it up in the middle like they did this year, with a really good base of local kids is an enormous advantage to your momentum going forward. But it might give you a good class in 2020 and cover up the fact that you really aren't that great. That was a point we brought up. Look, maybe they'll have a good class in 2020, and then in 2021, when it's not such great numbers in the area, they have to go get kids in Georgia and Texas and California and Illinois and Indiana and tell them to come to Kansas State. Things don't go as well. We'll see. It's going to be this class is a great opportunity, though.
Powercat Ryan wraps up a rather short second half.
Hasn't been. I talk a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. Recruiting is something I slowly stopped following that closely in Snyder 2.0. I feel like this time of year was dedicated to hoping we can hold on to a few key pieces in the class, but this staff seems very proactive in filling holes in the roster and getting players that fit their schemes. Is this line of thought accurate, or am I shorting what Snyder 2.0 was able to do?
Yeah, you're not. You're not. It was playing defense, trying to steal a kid here and there. Just kind of scattered approach. Seemed like they were constantly trying to glue things on, They were just trying to rig it up to survive another year of recruiting because they got such a late start and they didn't put much effort in during the season, and they're behind on these kids, and then they got to sell them, and just always seemed haphazard. And honestly, if you're following it, D. Scott Fritchen's doing a great series right now. We're just beginning about recruiting, and he's going to go through every position group. The top 10 recruits at each position group in the last 10 years for K-State, as according to the 24/7 composite rankings. And some of it's astonishing. One position group, 9 of the 10, never played at Kansas State. One of the position groups, 9 of the 10 top-rated recruits never played at Kansas State. That's just a strong indication of sometimes how thrown together the classes got. As picky as they got on the front end, at the back end, they were taking the guys nobody else really wanted because they looked good. And so there just seems to be a better plan here, a more concerted, consistent effort to recruit. They're better at social media. They're more active. It's more visible. So following recruiting as just a general fan is going to be a lot easier because you can just follow the coaches on Twitter and you can see who they're talking to. I mean, finding out who they're talking to isn't any great, feat anymore in recruiting. It's all on social media. It's kind of cool for the average fan. What we're going to offer is why, not just who are they, but why is K-State after this person, and break down with analysis how good they are, and that's what we kind of bring to the table. And again, 6 months for the price of one. Right now, you don't need a code. Just go click subscribe and go to the monthly thing, and you'll get extra 5 months if you sign up for a month. It's that simple. It's only through Thursday, so don't mess around. Get it done. Just go sign up. You're going to love it. If not, Riley will come over and give you a foot rub. A foot rub with his hand. He's got lovely little hands.
I don't think so.
Okay. Riley's not going to give you a foot rub because he's not a team player. But in general, we're team players here at Go Powercat. We got the biggest staff covering Kansas State athletics in all of media. And we got a lot of veterans here that have done it for a long time. That means I'm old and Fritch is not quite as old, but old. Ryan Wallace has been covering recruiting longer than anyone in the market. And our part-time personnel is absolutely incredible. We got Michael Goins writing analysis and columns, and the dude is big time. He's really
so good.
He's so good. And then now we've added Ross Uglum out of the North Dakota State market because he's an expert. Primarily we hired him because he's an expert in the offensive scheme. Then they went off and hired a guy that knew nothing about the Kleiman defensive scheme, and now they ended up with Scotty Hazelton, who runs the same defense, so Ross has that same knowledge base on how they use their defensive personnel. It's going to be incredible. Ross is going to break down every game, do a film study every game behind the paywall for our subscribers. He's going to do a lot of stuff, personnel related. He's going to have fun at Pro Day if he can make it down. He lives in Canada. Well, he doesn't live in Canada. It's
not exactly a safe drive, I'm just saying.
He lives in North Dakota, but it might as well be Canada. I mean, you can smuggle prescription meds right across, and they won't know. Should I say that on the podcast?
No.
Okay. But anyhow, subscribe to GoPowercat.com. 6 months for the price of one, limited time, and we thank our sponsors over at the Fridge Wholesale Liquor and our good friends at Wahoo Fire and Ice Grill. You had 7 great years, guys and gals. Hang in there. You're going to land on your feet. You're going to be fine. It sucks, but I admire you for everything you did.
The gang will return with more of the Powercat Podcast.
I'm trying to get a group text in on what everybody wants on the liquor store run, but my phone keeps autocorrecting liquor store to the fridge.
A fridge or the fridge?
The fridge. It just did it again.
Well, the fridge is more than just a liquor store. The fridge has over 3,000 wines in stock, the area's largest selection of spirits and craft beers. Plus, they're back-to-back winners of Beverage Dynamics Retailer of the Year.
Oh, I get it. Wow, smartphone.
Autocorrect your next liquor store visit to the Fridge Wholesale Liquor, 1150 Westport in Manhattan. Online at fridgeliquor.com.
For more than 20 years, there's only been one reliable source for exclusive and unmatched premium K-State sports news content. It's GoPowercat.com. The tradition continues as Tim Fitzgerald, D. Scott Fritchen, and the other GoPowercat sports experts continue their relentless coverage of K-State sports. So make sure you're subscribing to the one and only GoPowercat. Hey, K-State fans, it's time to come home to GoPowercat.com. Back to Fitz of the Powercat Podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor.
And we come down the home stretch of the Powercat Podcast with the overtime. We did the first half, the second half, and this is the bonus material. Any serious stuff, or is it all fun?
I would say not too serious, but a little serious.
I'm Tim Fitzgerald. It's Riley Gates. We usually have Zach Carlson alongside. He's out of town, so we're flying with a two-man show, and I think it's gone swimmingly well, and we didn't use the foghorn leghorn voice.
Well, I mean, we've used it a few times.
I think it was a good idea not to use it.
Okay, I'm just saying we used it. We can't say we didn't use it. We just didn't use it to ask questions.
We used it consistently.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fair.
This segment is sponsored by our friends at the High Low, which next week will probably be bumped up to the second segment.
Which is a place I would really like to go to soon.
I know. I'm kind of craving their burgers, which is weird because their pizza's amazing, and those pepperoni bricks are like...
I'm just mad because...
I'm dating the pepperoni bricks behind my wife's back.
I'm mad because, like, I'm the best man in a wedding this summer, and so I'm trying to, like...
You're trying to lose weight.
I'm trying to lose a little weight. Trying to be in shape and not look totally fat this summer. And I did really good last week.
Good job.
I was at the gym 6 times. I ate really, really healthy. And then this week, I haven't been as good. So it's a battle. I struggle with things. I'm human.
I'm human, too. In fact, I'm more human than most people because I need to lose about 100 pounds. But, hey, I got other battles to fight, and I just keep getting the battles that keep me rather inert. Feeling better, though.
That's good.
Feeling good, man.
It's good.
Been feeling good. I've got a big blood test coming up. Then I got to take in my next booster in my details, testosterone suppressant, which then makes me lethargic. And among other things, apathetic about things. Just say things.
We'll just leave it there.
And of course, a place that never makes me feel apathetic is the fridge.
What a transition.
I mean, if I could make sweet, tender love to a liquor store, it would be the fridge.
And it's the overtime.
Not with Kevin watching. That'd be weird.
God dang it.
Or Mike or any of them down there. Anyhow, get into the fridge. That has new meaning after what I just said. Go to the fridge and ask for a copy of Die Hard on VHS.
One of these times.
One of these times someone's going to do it. The High-Low, the fridge, great people. And here's another great person. Riley Gates,
Aww.
a.k.a. Danger Cat.
Aw. It's so nice of you.
Yeah.
CCL 27 getting us started off in the overtime. What is the over? Is it over or under 50% that they play Sandstorm during the KU game?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go over.
Competitive.
I'm going to go over.
If they're getting their butts kicked, they're not going to play Sandstorm.
Right.
If this is a close game, they're going to pull it out. That was one of my favorite K-State sports moments when the year that Sandstorm was the most powerful and they were beating, was that the Jake Pullen year? I can't remember.
Yeah, it would have been.
And they played Sandstorm, and KU thought it was a 30-second timeout, but it was a full timeout, so they broke the huddle early, and the players were standing on the court, and Sandstorm comes on. and the student body is in the most fevered pitch I'd ever seen in Bramlage Coliseum. And I remember the look on the KU players' faces as they looked up into that crowd like, holy crap, we're in the devil's den right now. We are in trouble.
They didn't stand a prayer.
And they didn't stand a prayer.
It was a fun game.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know if you've been attending recent K-State games, it's kind of turned into a nightclub experience. A lot of techno music being played. That isn't Sandstorm. I think they're doing a good job with it. It might annoy some older fans, but you need that student body energized, and they're beginning to find some other songs that the students enjoy and get into, but nothing is like Sandstorm. Sandstorm's that first love you'll never get over.
Look, I'm telling you, and this is just like a very objective look at it. Duke does Every Time We Touch. I don't know if you guys know that song, but if you don't know it, you should go look it up. And look it up with the Duke version, because they do this clap with it, like kind of when it's the slow part, and then it like drops, and it's really exciting, and it gets that place fired up, and it's so loud in there. I think they should do that.
So steal other people's traditions?
Well, either that or find one.
You want to do the Rock Chalk Jayhawk while you're at it?
Wave the wheat. We're the ag school.
I know. They're waving the wheat while chanting warm up your tractors. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Either you're in or out on the ag thing, folks. You can't go have it both ways.
It's a sunflower state. What? Cornelio, is Bruce Weber saving the Lavenders for KU?
I think he must be at this point.
No, I don't think so.
You don't? Who's he saving them for? He said one.
I don't know.
One game this year, which I find disappointing.
I have two things. Well, I have one theory, and then I have one thought. My theory is that they're not going to wear them for KU because what did they parade so much last year? We're undefeated in the Lavenders. Haven't lost in the Lavenders. And if there's a game that you're not fully confident that you're going to win, you think you can, but you just don't know, it's that KU game. Mm-hmm. And do you really want KU to be the team to spoil your perfect record in the Lavenders?
I like what you're thinking here.
So I don't think it'll be a KU game. My thought, it's not even going to be Lavenders and the dark shorts.
It's going to be all Lavenders.
All lavender.
I think it's going to be all Lavender. That's just a guess.
But,
when he said in the preseason that we got a little change up this year, I think they got all Lavenders.
My thing with that they would have worn them by now. Right? If you had a shirt that you didn't have to get permission for, wouldn't you have worn an alternate by now?
I like the Lavenders. I want them to wear the Lavenders. I think they will wear them against KU, but if your theory's right, who do you think they're going to wear them against? I have a theory.
Let me guess. Iowa State. Baylor.
Lon Kruger, Oklahoma.
Oh, my God.
And who has Bruce Weber
schooled? Lon Kruger.
Lon Kruger, of all people, one of the best coaches of the conference. Bruce Weber.
He coaches circles around Lon.
Just tears him apart.
Guys.
I don't know, man.
That's a pretty dick move. I'm sorry.
It'd be encouraging from Bruce.
Oh, it would be.
I think they're going to pull him out KU. I just think they're going to do it.
If they wear Lavenders against KU, just bet the farm on K-State. They're not losing that game.
Yep.
I like Pickles Cat. Hey, Fitz, rank your neighbors.
Oh, God. So I've got neighbor issues, and it's a back fence neighbor that is crazy. And I have dogs, and they really don't bark very much, but she has convinced herself that they bark all night when they're inside the house. So I'm having ongoing neighbor problems. It's not a crazy old lady. It's someone in their early 40s that acts like a crazy old lady. But anyhow, it's getting to the point. I'm not saying it's a huge deal. It's mostly annoying, but it's getting to the point where I'm actually going to have the RCPD intervene because she's getting kind of aggressive. I mean, with their language. My buddy Toby was over fixing my fence in the middle of the day, hammering. I mean, the fence between our yards is literally falling down because the wind and stuff. It's been up for 13 years. So he's just nailing it back up, getting everything set, and he wanted to do it. And I said, yeah. She came out and literally mother effed him for hammering too loudly. This stuff's crazy. It's crazy.
Because you can control the volume of a hammer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You can't. You just basically can't live. She's walked into other people's houses to yell at them for their noise. Walked into their houses. So, anyhow, she's the bottom of the list. Our other neighbor, our front door neighbors are awesome. To our right, we got Crazy Will, who blows things up. She complains about our barking dogs, but 4th of July is unbelievable with Will. Will and Holly, they're amazing. Their kids are amazing. They're wonderful. They've been next to us almost the entire time. And then our other side, we got Tim and Kathy, and Tim's helping build Embeth. So they're awesome. They're more recent. They've been a great addition to the neighborhood, the cul-de-sac. We got a great street. It really is. Good people on our street. Got another, we have a standard poodle and a Scottish Terrier, an elderly Scotty, and there's a golden doodle 2 houses up, and he comes running down every day to say hi. It's a great neighborhood. We just back up to houses on Browning. So our lot line runs.
Tell people where you live.
Well, I'm in the book. I'm not scared. You want to show up and break into my house? I'll shoot you.
The what?
What?
The what? You're in the what?
I'm in the book.
Which would be the what?
There's still phone books, Riley.
What's a phone book?
I'm still listed. You could probably just type in my name and find my address. But our house is back up to Browning, and our lot lines, we're in a cul-de-sac, so we got a pie-shaped lot, and we actually have our back fence is 2 lots. The one on the right's a rental. Those kids are awesome. They're the ones who had crazy neighbor walk into their house for a grad party. That was not loud, by the way. I noticed they were having a party, and I was really impressed they were loud, but they shut it down before 10 o'clock, and she still walked in their house and MF'd them. And then our crazy neighbor. Those houses, face Marlette School right there on Browning. So that street's gone rental, but we've got, Cotton Fitzsimmons' house that he built was across the street from us.
Nice.
So that's the era, the mid-modern century. Mid-century modern is what the phrase is. That's it.
Adam K63.
A little HGTV action here for you. The Powercat Podcast.
Adam K63. How great are Coach Van Malone's gifts? They're hilarious.
I got to be honest. I realized last night I'd never taken the time to follow half the coaches. I followed the early wave.
Yeah.
And so I had to go catch up. And so Adam, you're not the first one to tell me about this, so I got to go back and stalk them.
They're really funny.
Last night.
It's funny because he's tweeted about both life things. He was it was icy one day, and he was looking at Manhattan, Kansas, and it was a cat sliding around on ice.
I saw him something about there was tigers on the prowl.
And then
on the prowl.
I was actually kind of shocked though. I think it was the price commitment, maybe, or maybe it was Youngblood. I don't know. He tweeted, he was like, "This is what it looks like when the latest cat takes off from the line," and it was like a car zooming. Mm-hmm. I'm like, can you tweet that? I think it got very close to breaking the rules of tweeting about a.
Well, good. Let's get back to playing in the gray area. I want to be in the gray area.
Screw it.
We've been so black and white around here. Oh, that might be illegal. You got programs giving cash money. Come on, man. Let's just play out in the gray area a little bit. We're not cheating. We're just not double checking the rule.
Make a point. Exhausted Nihilist. I've noticed this year I've noticed this year the on-screen graphics used when televising basketball games featured the KS logo on the baseball team's caps. I do not recall this in past years, but perhaps I'm ignorant, or is this something new? Something that John Curry prevented in the past, perhaps?
No.
I hate it. I'm not gonna be honest.
I did too. I don't get it. I don't know where it came from. Someone provided it to ESPN. I assume it's ESPN, and now it's in the files. You get a bad mugshot and you hate that mugshot, but it's in the file. So when the next producer or director or whoever sets up the graphics before a game gets in there, they go, "Ooh, look at this! This is not the Powercat. This is a KS. It's kind of cool. I like that."
Yeah.
It's almost like your generation. Liking the Tom and Jerry cat.
Hey, that's me.
Right.
I love it.
I mean, our friend Mike Stanimal did all the uniforms, and he's got one with that on it. And a lot of people, younger people, liked it. To me, it was the clownish identity of the school, a cartoon character that we had before the Powercat. And so I don't like it as much. I thought the helmet was actually kind of cool. But outsiders like, that's really a cool graphic. You know? And maybe now it's come so full circle that it's retro and it's cool again, even though it wasn't cool to start with. Because it really is a ripoff of a cartoon character.
Yeah.
But the KS, I don't get that. It looks more like the Kennesaw State logo.
It's not original. It's the alphabet. Congratulations, use the alphabet.
In a font.
I don't like it. It should stay with baseball if you're going to use it. But even with baseball,
it's a baseball look.
Even with baseball, I'm just like, man, be you. We're the Powercat. Be K-State.
So you should have the U on it? Is that what you're saying? KSU instead of just the KS?
No, that's not what I meant by BU. K-State, it's ST8.
I like it.
Fan 99. I believe he is a new member of the podcast lease. I don't know if he's a new member. I got to go back through and check the thread.
A lot of new members.
That just seems like something I don't want to do right now. Where would Vista Burger rank in your top burger rankings?
Don't do this to me, because the Vista Burger is a staple. It's historic. They're great people. But I'm just not a huge Vista Burger fan. I was in college, but it just hasn't held up for me in my love.
If you'd asked 10-year-old Riley where Vista Burger was, I would have been pretty high with it, because that would have been, 2006, 2007, pretty good still. And I remember the first time I went to Vista, I was like, damn, this is really, really good. And then I actually went to Vista like my second year here, probably, second year. And I'm like, man, it's pretty expensive now. It's not what I remember. It's not tons of food. I just feel like I can get some better deals other places.
And I'm really torn about it, because here we are. We just talked about our friends at Wahoo went out of business. And a big reason why is people don't support local businesses enough. And here we're talking about Vista Burger, which is an iconic local business. And I feel like we should support it more. And just not... I certainly won't turn it down. If someone says, hey, we're going to Vista, want to go? Yeah, sure, go. I like it. But it's not a compelling food for me.
It's also just such a weird place. I never think of it, which is funny because I drive by it on the way to work every day.
But it's out of sight because it's on the hill above you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that used to be cool that it was tucked up in there, and now it's kind of, that location would be, if heaven forbid they ever went out of business or moved, that location would be really cool for a barbecue place.
It would be. I think they did well when the union was closed and they had to bring in the food truck, though. I think I'm not saying they got tons of cash influx or anything.
I will say this.
They had some pretty good
I think
turnout.
a big part of my love for corn dogs is from going to Vista as a kid.
I'm sorry you have that love.
It's a dog wrapped in delicious corn coating.
It sucks. Corn dogs are awful.
They're amazing, and more food should be on sticks.
All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Purple Powerhouse. I guess I'll jump on the uniform train. Have there been any indications on what our new ones might look like?
I have no idea.
Nah, that's some pretty top secret stuff. I mean,
No idea.
that's Chris Kleiman, Gene Taylor, Nike.
Well, it's Nike, because let's be honest, they didn't have time to redesign anything and get them immediately. I mean, it's a process. This is something Nike had already designed. Nike does designs for schools every year. And I feel badly for the guy who's been in charge, or gal, been in charge of doing the K-State designs, because the answer was no before they ever arrived.
But you still had to do them.
You still had to do them because it's part of the contract. And so they've had some really cool designs. And I'm with the crowd where I don't want to get away from what they do. I want the traditional look. Maybe tweak it a little bit. I really want the purples match. The purple, the color of the Powercat on the helmet is just ridiculous. It doesn't match any other purple. It's just ridiculous. Can we get that fixed at least? Make it purple? It's black, purple, plum. I don't even know what it is. It's almost brown.
You've had this rant a lot.
It bugs me. Colors that don't match on uniforms bug me. Like the pants and the shirt have different colors of like gold or silver. It really bothers me. But I would like it cleaned up. I would like a cleaner look. I actually thought Ron Prince's version of the uniform with the K-State below the neck was really cool. I like those a lot. But all I liked about Ron Prince, that and the smoke.
Oh, yeah. That was great.
But I would like an alternate once in a while. I mean, for all you traditionalists, I always want to point this out. Bill Snyder blatantly copied the Cowboys uniforms with the dark purple. I get it. That's what he did. I mean, he probably would admit it. I've never asked him.
Pretty sure he did admit it on the record.
Yeah, that's what he did. But stop yourself and think about who had the first alternate uniform that you really remember. The Dallas Cowboys with their Thanksgiving uniforms, with the stars on the shoulders and the different colored helmet. And
how about them Cowboys?
And those are iconic too. So there's nothing wrong with having an alternate. You just got to make sure it's not. You don't get. I don't like the programs like Oregon and Oklahoma State. They get carried away with it, and you have no identity. You should have a foundation identity, and if you have once a year an alternate road and an alternate home, bingo. I'm fine with that. That gives you 10 games in your regular uniforms and 2 alternates, and then you got whatever uniform you want to wear when you play for the national championship.
Okay.
I just went full Robert.
Okay. See you next year in Pasadena? I don't know. I should have looked that up before I made that comment. Yeah. I like Pickles Cat. If Frank Martin were to come back for an SEC Challenge game, how do you think he would be treated by fans?
It's hard to tell the student body because it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But fans love him.
He would get a very, very, very big cheer.
This is my thing about the SEC Challenge. They just extended it for 6 years. If you're going to freaking do it, then freaking do it.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
Missouri should be playing KU. Texas should be playing Texas A&M. And the most logical thing is South Carolina plays Kansas State. If you're going to do it, do it. Get over yourselves, KU and Texas and everyone else. And K-State that's afraid to bring back Frank Martin. Bruce Weber's the coach. Frank Martin's never coming back to Kansas State. Even if Bruce Weber would retire and Frank was available, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I mean, if Frank's available, it means he probably failed at South Carolina.
Yeah.
And you're not going to bring him back probably. It's not. So that ship has sailed. Let's go visit the port. And let's bring him back in for a game, go to South Carolina.
It needs to happen. And
add Wichita State while you're at it.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a different argument. But also, you can retire Jake Pullen's jersey. He's not going to do it until Frank's there. He said that.
Riley, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You do it at the Big 12 SEC Challenge game with South Carolina.
You do it before the game.
Gene Taylor, I know you're listening. I know you listen to every Powercat podcast because that's how you get to find out what's going on. It's a joke, folks. That's a brilliant idea. Push for that. Bring Frank in. Retire Jake Pullen's jersey. Put it in the rafters on that day.
I just don't think they will. I think they'll play Texas A&M and Ole Miss and Georgia again.
Georgia.
God, I wish I could cuss. I'm so sick of it.
They kind of mixed up who they played. You think about it. There was like 4 different schools in there, but they all sucked. None of the games were compelling.
And I get it. You don't know who's going to be good.
This one should have been compelling.
Yeah.
This one really should have. A&M was supposed to be good, and a bunch of guys left early.
Here's what I'll say. You just extend the contract. You can't tell me that you have games locked in already.
No.
Do it. This is your opportunity to look ahead 1 year. Who's going to be good next year? Make this challenge interesting. Look, the SEC is a better basketball conference than the Big 12 this year. I will go on record of saying it. The SEC is better. But the Big 12 won 6-4 because we had 7 garbage SEC teams in there.
Yeah, they didn't put the best SEC teams in.
It was ridiculous. LSU didn't play in this.
Missouri didn't play in it. Doesn't play in it.
The fact that Missouri didn't play in it with Michael Porter Jr., I know he got hurt, but the fact that they weren't in the schedule with Michael Porter Jr. there was ridiculous.
They should be in it every year. Let's get over this crap. It's been umpteen years since realignment. Let's move on. Let's go. I would love to have home-and-home basketball in Nebraska.
It'd be fun.
Colorado. Let's do this. Let's get some familiarity into the schedule, some games that actually mean something. And how easy for a non-conference scheduling. You bring in a Big Ten opponent, and you ride a bus to and from it.
And you fill the freaking place.
Yep.
It's better than selling 7,000 tickets to USC Upstate.
Yeah, but it's upstate.
Yeah. You almost played Frank Martin.
Yeah, it was South Carolina, upstate.
And we're going to wrap up the podcast here with a brand new member to the site, BK Big Fish 81.
Is that a Burger King reference?
I don't know. If you're getting fish at Burger King, I mean, first off, if you're going to Burger King. Second off, if you're getting fish
Let's
at
talk about it. Do you ever get fish from a fast food restaurant?
Sonic doesn't have bad fish.
Oh, I've never tried their fish.
Do you consider Long John Silver's fast food?
Well, you're Catholic, so...
Do you consider Long John Silver's fast food?
Well, that is different. That's a fast food place. I meant like a burger place.
No, I won't get the fillet of fish.
I used to, and now it's like
disgusting.
Gross.
Yeah. Honestly, what I've started to do more in Lent is not eat fish, but like you can go to Sonic and get like a big thing of cheese sticks, or
that's healthy as hell.
Well, same as eating a fish. Oh, it's fish. We just deep fried it and battered it.
Everything's better deep fried.
Come on, man.
Okay, go on.
BK Big Fish 81. With Bevo almost taking out Uga before the Sugar Bowl, which live mascot would you not want to cross paths with?
This is the most obvious question. I love the question, but the fact that they still let Ralphie at Colorado run around in pregame, and they simply ask everyone on the field, just back up to this wall right here so he has enough room to turn the corner. What? That Buffalo was one constipated pregame away from going hog wild and cleaning out everyone along that wall because you're trapped at that point.
Yep.
I really think that might have really done in live mascots because there was a lot of people around that Longhorn when it did that. And even if I saw a photographer got hit by the horns, I mean the side, but that's a little too close for comfort there.
Yeah. And Bevo's probably the least dangerous, you know.
Bevo's drugged out of his mind.
Bevo's ridiculous.
Bevo
belongs on my plate, cooked medium.
Bevo's
with a side
a
baked
giant
potato.
steer that they drug out of his mind so that he can't do those things, and he still did those things. I'm not a big live mascot fan.
They're weird. They're really weird.
I mean,
look, I get what you're saying with Ralphie. How can it not be the Mountaineer though? He has a freaking musket.
that's not an animal.
He could become an animal like that.
Like he could load the musket with real balls?
He could do that.
That's a good thing about the Mountaineer. He doesn't have balls. Yeah, I don't.
The Notre Dame Irish guy could just.
That's not an actual. You can control those people. Animals are animals. Like the bulldog could bite some kid.
If Auburn's eagle goes wild, you got some talons out there.
Nothing's better than the eagle at the Chiefs national anthem that went.
No, not the Chiefs one. What bowl game was that? It was the Cotton Bowl.
Oh, that's right.
Flying around the stadium and landing on people.
It was a new eagle.
He was so scared.
And he freaked out. And he just landed on people. An eagle!
If Florida ever gets a live mascot, we're screwed.
Yeah. Well, the gator got loose. Oh man, it's
got to be Ralphie.
I saw an image or a video or something, I don't know, of the yell leaders parading out touchdown. I think it was a basketball game actually, and they had it like an emperor.
Yeah,
you know, they're holding
in a cage,
but they're holding it over their shoulders. Can you imagine how freaking scared that Wildcat was?
Can you imagine how freaking scared the yell leaders were?
Oh, you know, but that's why they had to get rid of it because they were traumatizing these poor animals.
Yeah.
But Ralphie, I don't trust you, man. You get something bad to eat and you're in a bad mood, you might go take some people out.
Just need to.
And like the yell leaders with the ropes are going to stop a buffalo.
Yeah.
That's the most silly thing. If that buffalo wanted to go, you could freaking have a fire truck connected to it and it'd pull the fire truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only live mascot that I approve of is Willie because that is part animal, part man.
We're going to have an alien zombie apocalypse one day. Willie's going to be leading the forefront.
We'll find out.
Willie's the most messed up thing in the world. K-State fans don't see it because it's their guy, but God, Willie's weird.
Because he's part animal, part man. He's Willie Wildcat.
He's not even part animal. His head is animal. He's majority man with a dash of animal.
The head is pretty important, Riley Gates. The head is...
We're just going to ignore the fact that there's no way that head could fit through a pair of shoulder pads?
Willie's magical. And you're going to shut your mouth.
Okay.
That's it for the Powercat Podcast. That's it. We made Riley shut up, and he's the guy asking the question, so we got to be done now. Remember to stop in the fridge, say hey to everyone, go to the high-low, get a pie, get a burger, get some of those pepperoni bricks. It'll all make you so happy. And remember, if you're not a subscriber, now through Thursday night, midnight-ish, you got 6 months for the price of one. Do it. Come on, just do it. Why wouldn't you? It's $10. What else are you going to waste $10 on? It's a $10 gamble that you're going to fall in love with the hottest chick you've ever met. And that's us at GoPowercat.com. That was weird. That was really a weird thing.
Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.